Hello everyone, welcome back to the stream. Let me just pull up my screen. I hope you all had a great weekend, and we're just going to jump right back into the charts. The weekend was fairly uneventful. We've been pretty much range bound for quite some time, really stuck within this little range on Bitcoin. With really the only notable move being this big move up, which filled this fair value gap to a T right there. So let me just label that on the 1 hour time frame. So you could have seen that where we wicked above, closed below, taken a short position after this close, or if you're more aggressive, up further, and had your stop loss appropriately either above the fair value gap or above this wick, although it is a bit of a tall wick. So personally, I would have just put it above the fair value gap. Then you could have taken profits accordingly down, filling this fair value gap down, and also just then its current Fibonacci levels to be right here, hitting the 705, which it has been loving for quite some time. It's loving wicking through it and closing above it. Just been doing that for a few weeks. Okay, so on really small term time frames, so all I really want to do is just treat this as a really mini range. We'll then look at the SPX itself, and just be aware that this is Monday. Right, so sometimes we do see a false move on Monday. Hello, Mo. I am doing well. The family is doing somewhat well. My father's going for surgery Wednesday morning, possibly. So that should hopefully go well, and then it's just a little bit of recovery time, and then hopefully he will be cancer free after that, and then all the symptoms should hopefully also go away. Thank you for asking. So just be aware that it is Monday. So any move is to be considered, is to be taken with a grain of salt. Usually after a red close on a Friday, and if we didn't really get much action during the weekend, which we really didn't, then I'm going to be looking for like at least a slight reversal coming into Monday, especially with the traditional markets, and Bitcoin will then follow, just based off of the fact that you need to balance out the market. So, and also kill any trap shorts that came in the market Friday. So we're taking a look at this really small range we have formed right here. We see the value area. The point control is not heavily skewed either way, so to me this can go either way really. This little small range right here can go either way. You could have traded this. We haven't had a lot of hits to either the value area low or the value area high, but the point control itself is being respected very well. Actually, you can see it being tested multiple times. So you could have taken like small really scalp positions off of it, but right here we've had a retest while traditional markets are open, so that's obviously going to be stronger. We have more confluence there, so a retest of this value area high along with this candle right here. It does not actually have a fair value gap, true fair value gap, due to this long wick, but coming up into this candle right here, we can kind of assume that there are imbalances within this huge candle. So coming up to this value area high at 1959, and then taking it from there seems most likely probability right now. If we are going to form something like this, like we had in the past over here, let me just circle it right, or yeah, I guess right here, where we come up and wick above, close below. You can see right here, wick above, close below, then a huge other wick, close below. Right there is what you want to see, taking a short position of. So obviously you would have taken one right here, hopefully taken some profits on really small term time frames, at least something to lock in the win, and then you would have got stopped out, and then you would have re-entered after you saw that closure. So something like that could play out right here. So if we wick above, close below, you're better off taking a short position off that than obviously long. And with targets just back down to the point of control right there, we can see that pattern played out once there, hasn't, and kind of the sort of the value area low, just a really long wick to the board and control as well. So seems to be respecting this range and the value area within this range very, very well. I am a little low in the camera there. So cool. Do I have any biases of where this is going to go? We could look at slightly higher term time frame analysis. We could pull up the TDI. And we have not built any divergences on the 4-hour time frame, maybe on the 1-hour time frame. Slight bullish divergence, I think, off of this closure right here, which is already played out. So wouldn't look for too much. We would expect at least a 618 to be hit. So I shouldn't say it actually played out. Let me see if the 618 did get hit from this swing high to this swing low. Okay, so the swing high, the 618 we do expect to get hit, which is above value or high. So maybe straight back up to here, then close below at 19,680 is what we're looking for with that built-in bullish divergence off that low. So what did I just say? Let's go back. 19,680 is what we're looking for. Okay, so just taking a look at SPX. Just to clarify, the idea of, just going back to what we were saying, just to clarify. So if something like this were to play out, I just want to give like all possibilities. So if something along the lines of what we were saying before, where we come up above the value area high, we reject off the 618, but we still close above the value area high, right? What we're talking about before was something like this, where we wick above the value area high, close below. That's still a short position. But if, for me, if we come up to the 618, reject off the 618, if we still close above the value area high, that's still not a short position for me. So breaking out of this value area high is more important to me than the 618, breaking out of the 618. But I think the 618, I'm expecting the 618 to be a more exact wick target, if that makes sense, for something along those lines. So if you want to take a more aggressive position, you can short the 618 and just kind of hope and pray it closes below the value area high, or look at order flow data and take your educated guess on that. Or just wait for the closure and get a less accurate entry with lower leverage. Just to clarify that. Okay, so let's take a look at SPX. So SPX had a terrible close coming into Friday. And take a look at the daily time frame. We actually finally closed below this previous low, so we've been wicking below it on the daily time frame, never closed below. So technically it's all been swing for patterns, but I haven't really been expecting one since then. After we broke out of this bearish shorter block, bull shorter block, it's just been pretty much just a downtrend with small little bounces involved. Do we have, bullish divergence? We do. It does seem that we've built bullish divergence. Not coming into this low. Maybe in the 4-hour. The 4-hour we do have some built-in bullish divergence. So off of this bounce, if it were to continue in tomorrow, which I definitely can see happening, we are expecting the 618, and we almost hit the 618. So maybe even by the time this session closes out, so we're looking for the 618 to get hit, which is just above this, just into that candle right there, but not into the gap. Just a 618. If we close above the 618, we can do something as small as a 1 hour. It'd be more inclined to do the 4-hour, but since it's so small moves, we can say the 1 hour time frame. So close above the 618, then we're looking at this gap up here, but that ends at 37.16. But I really just think the 618 coming into this close, possibly maybe even tomorrow open, after the overnight session, we can come up and just open there. and then continue the downtrend. What invalidates that we're most likely to continue the downtrend would be breaking out of this high at 37.36, and that's not the macro downtrend. I think we're going to still continue the daily downtrend for quite some time, just talking about the 1 hour. So if we close above 37.36, then that idea flips, and then the next target is just right here at this high. So I would take that with a very big grain of salt, or just it's just not, if we break out of this high, it's not like we're going to be there, but I don't think we're going to be in an uptrend for very long. So yeah, just come up to that 618, look for that rejection. If we reject off of it, then we're most likely just for the rest of the week just going to continue the downtrend, and get really nasty targets, and we got like real nasty macro targets down to basically just 3K. Cool. Let's look at the DXY. We were expecting this cool off, right? We came right up into this monthly. We've had this marked out for a while, so we had one fair value gap marked out. We had a slight pullback of this, but then we had this, maybe 12 months. I'm on years. I was like, what? 1 month. There you go. We had this fairly large fair value gap coming off a monthly candle. We were looking to to filled to a T, got a pullback. So I am expecting a bit of a macro pullback, more or less just a few red months coming into that. What that means for traditional markets matters a lot in the time of the cycle. So what do I mean by that? Normally in good times, non-recessionary, expansionary times, if we're talking about economics, the DXY will, in general, of course, there are going to be some exceptions to that, even in these conditions, but in general, over the long term, we're talking about monthly candles, something like that, is going to be inverse of traditional markets or risk-on markets. So, stock market, the equities market, all risk markets, so Bitcoin included. Like, the more risk there is, the more inverted it will be to the DXY, right, in expansionary times. So, but now, contrary to that, in recessionary times, or at least the beginning of recessionary times, we would expect things to fall apart together. So if everyone is right, I'm sure you've all seen the news and everything like that, with the CPI being extremely high and the Fed being extremely hawkish and things of that nature, we would expect the dollar, the US dollar, to fall with respect to other currencies, to other world currencies, while the US Federal Reserve are acting this way, having these policies. Along with that, as we are in a recessionary time, most other risk-on assets will also fall, so those will now be correlated. So why do I bring this up? I bring this up because I am expecting still the bottom for Bitcoin has to come in, right? We are still looking at the first week of November for the bottom of Bitcoin to come in, so we still have another month left. So during that time, we conveniently came up right into this level for the DXY to reject off of a big macro level, monthly level. So I am expecting a bit of a pullback, especially coming into this month. So for things and SPX continuing that macro daily downtrend, so everything seems to be lining up to be falling apart together, and leading into that recessionary event. So where do those targets stand for the monthly time frame? If things are good and things don't like collapse, just a correction, still will probably lead to we are technically in a recession at this point, but not catastrophic. Just 109, just filling this fair value gap down to 109.48. Things get really bad, which I can't predict really, but maybe, then 99.46. So those would be the two targets. But I definitely don't see that. I see we just play level to level. So if that level doesn't hold, then things can get real nasty on the monthly time frame. I'm talking about macro time frames, because we did actually have a new monthly candle, so it is important to talk about. Gold, gold also plays into this, right? We expect gold much like the DXY, when we're talking about gold, we expect everything, including gold and silver, at the very start of a big recessionary event. Everything's going to fall together. So the only thing that really hasn't fallen at this point is the DXY. The DXY has still been climbing, so we're still just waiting for the DXY to correct, which is beginning. So at this point, I would still wait for this collapse. I don't know, just correction, more downside. I don't want to like use those words, but just more downside to occur, and gold will also get hit. And then, since we aren't going to be in a risk-off situation where Bitcoin will like consolidate, so will the stock market. Maybe somewhat slight downtrend in the stock market, but just consolidation. I don't think anything will crash majorly after this major correction. We also expect gold, silver, all precious metals to do fairly well. So after that big major correction, that big major whatever event is going to occur that sends us into that recessionary event, maybe something we disregard, but we're going to have that initial crash. I'm still expecting this 786 plus this imbalance down here, and then we can continue our way up. So just going over the monthly candles, going over the monthly closures, monthly targets, things of that nature, just because we had this close. That is the big macro plan. And then just coming back into the Bitcoin chart, I hope this isn't boring you. I know we talk about this all the time. Just to hint at this again, because this is probably why you're all here. And is this our chart? Yeah. Right, we are waiting for this bottom to come in at our magical fill levels / possible wick down to that point in control, macro point in control at around 9K. The week of November 7th, so time is ticking. So the longer we stay up here, the longer time goes on. The steeper this gets. And when I was taking a look at, just for fun, of the fractal, just this initial catastrophic event. So we could have similar narratives. I'll go back to shorter time frames for other coins. I apologize, but I do just enjoy talking about the macro time frame, so I'm going to just do that for a little bit. We do have some similarities between the two situations that happened back over in 2017 and right now. Just theoretically speaking, I'm not talking about real technical similarities or things along this nature. Just in loose theory, right? What was occurring back here? Occurring back here was we were holding this support at 6,000, roughly 6,000, for a long, long time, and no one thought we would break it, and then we eventually capitulated, right? We had this big, massive dump coming into it. We hold 6K, we hold 6K, we hold 6K. 6K is gonna hold forever, and then eventually dumps, and then it puts in the bottom, right? Just looking at these similarities, this happens to be we're in the same case, right? We just have this major catastrophic macro dump right over the weeks. We haven't had a support level hold for a long period of time on this time frame, right? Just we had one test right here, blasted through. One test right here, blasted through. Right? Every time we have those wicks, everyone calls the bottom. But we haven't had a period of time until now where a big macro level, which 6K was back there, right now that's actually the previous all-time high in 2017. The previous all-time high is being held for quite some time, right? We keep on wicking below it, closing above it. Maybe not right here, but we're still within this range, right? The previous all-time high, or 17K, is holding. So it's just that the similarities where I think people are coming to terms with the fact that this might actually be the bottom, right? Even smart traders who hopefully didn't call the bottom every single time on this way down, or macro bottom on this way down, start to think that this might be the bottom. We might spend more time here. This might be a wrong time frame, to be completely honest, but similarities of that major support level holding and then eventually giving out, and that's the bottom, is what I see going on here. Cool. After all that macro nonsense, let's just go over small-term time frames yet again. Let's look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Probably similar things occurring. Finally coming back to fill this fair value gap that we've been talking about for quite some time. Came back, filled it partially, but we are still expecting it to come back and fill it fully. I can see this point, this value area high, value area low is being respected very well. And this range low right here got tested very well. We could just get rid of this, or we can keep it, but the most important thing to notice, I think, right now was we came back, retested this low, and then we pumped up and retested this macro point control, which we've had labeled for quite some time. I don't see this going in much further. I do see it coming back to fill this fair value gap to the downside still down there. So what does that mean for Ethereum? Let's take a look. What's a good entry on? I already did my TA on Bitcoin, and what I expect is going to happen. I expect it to come up to that 618 plus the value area high, and if it rejects off the 618 plus, or it doesn't really have to come up to the 618, but as long as we wick above, close below the value area high, it's most likely going to continue the downside. A nice added bonus would be if it comes up to the 618, and also does that sort of pattern with the value area high. But if it just comes up and rejects off the 618, but closes above the value area high, then that's not a short position to me. But you can just rewind, and you can see on visual and the charts what I'm talking about. Instead of charting picture. Okay. So we've been stuck within this range for Ethereum for quite some time. Unfortunately, I can't make the markets more interesting than they actually are. So everything's just going to be retesting its either range highs, range lows, or sticking within its value area. And if it's not within its value area, then it's most likely just filling gaps, which we've had played out right here. Right, we don't stay within the the value area. We just come up and fill these gaps, and then just right back into the value area, or we just come back and retest lows, and things of that nature. So fairly boring, to be completely honest. Right here, we're testing the point of control. So it's fair to say that if we get this closure below the point of control, you're most likely going to continue to the downside. If you close above, you're most likely going to continue to the upside. Where would that be? Just a value high. There's no real work. It's so illiquid / wiki that's no real gaps or imbalances to fill. On smaller term time frames, where would that first target be? Would be right here, this previous high / gap on this small candle at 1310. So if we get that confirmation, plus just to note, that is also a swing failure pattern on the 15-minute time frame. So if you're going to be playing something like this, if you want to just wait for this closure right here, which just happened, so technically you just printed a swing failure pattern right here. You also have bearish divergence forming. Right, yeah, you also have bearish divergence forming. So it's pretty good entry right there. Small time frames, where would you expect where do you want to put your first take profit on a swing failure pattern? Is always going to be the 618. Just remember, on small time frames, even the 15-minute time frame, small time frame, the more risk you kind of take on. So if you're going to trade this swing failure pattern, the first would be the first take profit is going to be the 618. Do I expect this swing failure pattern to play out? Not really, just with the way Bitcoin is looking. I do expect Bitcoin to go up and Ethereum to kind of follow it at least a little bit. So I would personally just wait for this 1 hour closure right here. Just wait for that 1 hour closure. If you want to be more aggressive, you can take the swing failure pattern and just take a first take profit at the 618 immediately. That you will look out. But for me, just a 1 hour closure and then first take profit at 1310. Close out a majority of that position, to be honest, and then just let the rest ride with the SL at break even. So probably going to do something like 50% at 1310 of the position. Just let the rest ride for the week. Especially look after seeing these daily closures. We'll see where everything's at. Okay. Any other questions? Any other coins you guys want me to look at? All right. Well, if that is all, I'll leave you all there. Remember to join Discord. Links in the description below. A lot of good trades in there. It's completely free. Also, if you want to trade on Bybit, 30% off all your fees. Links in the description below. Help support the channel as well. And I hope you all have a great rest of the day. If something major happens, something crazy, I will make an update video for you all. And yeah, see you guys tomorrow.